Hi, it's time to do your last project. So the last project is your molded bowl with feet. It has two requirements. It has to have feet, so that means lifting the bowl up off the table so it's resting on feet, not on the bowl. And then secondly, it has to have texture. Texture can be smooth, so that is an option if you're not really into doing too much detail. But I do want to show you a few things. Okay, so in this room, okay, the room where you store your stuff, there's a closet here. You do have to open the one side before you can open the other side. So anyway, once you open this, I just wanted to show you some things that you can use to make texture. So I have some different rolling pins here that have texture on them. There's also like rope you can use to push in it. There's this metal like grate thing that you can also use. Even over here, I have circles you can trace, but there's like a circle rubber stamp that works. I've never had success with doilies. These are paper doilies. I think if it was a real doily, it would work better. You're welcome to try it though. And then even up here, you could make texture with sponges. There's rocks in there. There's different tools you can use that you can pipe. Sorry, I keep saying you can pipe like Play-Doh. So there's different little like spaghetti or that kind of shape. So that could be something you could use to add texture, but you're welcome to use anything that's in this closet as long as you put it back, okay? There's also extra rolling pins if we were for some reason needed a few more rolling pins at the very, very bottom. The other thing you're gonna need from this room, hope I don't make you sick, guys. I'm really sorry, I'm trying to go slow here. On this shelf by the sink, there are bowls, lots of bowls. So it's up to you what kind of bowl you wanna use. So these plaster bowls, you can shape it to. So there's a bunch of different ones. So there's those two. Oops. There's this fancy one, I guess I should say, not funky. And then there's more like straight edge versus curved edge. You could make a bowl that's a little more shallow. This one's kind of oval shaped. The rest of this stuff that you see like with holes in it, those are molds. That's where you like pour clay into a mold and then you let it set. There's also some down here. So there's a seesaw shape you could use. This is, I guess, if you wanted to do more of a square plate bowl, I guess. Then I have these really huge plaster molds. You got to be careful with the plaster. You can see it does like crack and break, and actually plaster in the clay is really bad. It'll make your clay explode. So I know you don't want to do that, but there's all these different molds that you guys are more than welcome to figure out what you want to use. So once you figure out, like, let's say I kind of want to make a square bowl. Once you figure that out, then that kind of lets you figure out what size, how much clay that you're going to wedge up. You can also use any of these bowls as well. So there's all these plastic bowls. This one's kind of octagon shaped, I guess. And then this would be more to make a mug or a cup, which is what Ceramics 2 does. This is also more of a plate. But yeah, any of these bowls would work if you were kind of wanting a different shape than what I have over there. So basically, you're welcome to use whatever, just make sure you put it back. All right, we're gonna roll out the clay, and it doesn't matter if it's new clay or old clay. It just matters that you have the thickness so you don't get it too thin. So just remember that short little burst, I think, work best. I also think standing up is very helpful. I like to kind of turn mine, especially if you're trying to get it more wide versus long. So it just depends on what shape of the bowl you're trying to make. And it can be more of a plate than a bowl if you're wanting to go for that. So I'm just trying to get it rolled out so it is the thickness of these sticks. As you're rolling, if you ever see little kind of bubbles pop up, you just poke them with your needle and they will pop right out. So if the clay keeps moving, that means it's still too thick. So that's why I'm keeping the rolling pin on those sticks. And again, if I wanted to turn it to get a more the shape I'm looking for. And then eventually the clay won't move at all because it is the same thickness as those sticks, which is right now. So what I'm gonna do now is decide basically kind of the shape. I really like this texture on this rolling pin. And I'm gonna go for this shape here. So you can see I have it plenty big. So as long as the clay is bigger than the shape that you picked out of your bowl, and you should be good unless it's a really tall bowl, then you need to kind of drape it over the bowl. I would recommend wrapping your whatever you're using in plastic. That way the clay doesn't stick to it. So just taking a plastic bag, wrapping it around, because I'm gonna mold the clay to this shape here. Before I do that though, I wanna get the texture on there. So I wanna have the texture already on. So making sure that I don't have any texture I don't want right now. And then I'm just going to roll this, applying some weight here. Probably standing up would have been a better choice than sitting down. But that makes a really cool like basket woven texture. I don't really care if it's like perfect or not. I'm just really wanting that texture to show. So I like that. So now what I'm gonna do is I want this texture to be on the inside of my bowl. So I'm going to drape the clay over this. Which when I pushed it, I did make it a little bit thinner. So that's okay. Also, my bowl might pick up a little bit of the wrinkle texture of the bag, so I'm just trying to smooth that out before I stick it on there. And then I'm just gonna drape it over. Ooh, got a lot of dry clay on there. My bowl. It's okay if areas kind of fold on themselves, just let them fold. But I'm just kind of like pushing against the bowl here. I've got a little fold, you can't really see it on that side. Try to show you here. So right here, there is a little fold, but again, I can just smooth that out. It's okay, just let it fold. All right, hope you can still see everything. Trying to get that. When I moved my clay over, it picked up all the dry clay from the other person's board. All right, so what I wanna do now is just cut around it because I don't need all this extra clay. So I always like to have a little extra than accidentally cut it too small. So I rather have a little extra, so I'm kind of giving it a little, the bowl's like here, and you can see I'm giving it like a finger width of extra around the outside here. I'm kind of going more for like an oval shape, but you could do a rectangle, whatever your heart desires. Maybe you want to do a heart. And I'm just using the middle knife for this. This is all my extra. Now, I don't want to just throw this clay away. I can use this to do my feet. Remember, your bowl has to have feet. So right now, I'm just trying to get the shape. So if I were to take this out of the bowl right now, it would not hold its shape. So what I need to do is blow dry it for a little bit. I'm gonna set this one aside because I wanted to show you another way to do this. So I'm gonna let that one kind of dry. Another thing I could do is, again, whatever bowl you pick out, you need to wrap it with plastic. Sorry, I'm sweating again, but the AC, if I turn it on, is so loud, you probably wouldn't hear me be able to talk. So, sacrifices I make for you. Okay, the other thing you could do is you could basically, I don't know, cut out, let's say, triangles. So I'd roll out my clay and then I would cut a bunch of triangles. They could be different sizes. They don't all have to be the same. You could do all different shapes. You could do a bunch of hearts. You could do circles. You could do leaf shapes, you know, so maybe I would want to make it kind of more of a bunch, look like a bunch of leaves stuck together. But whatever you want to do, okay? And then what you would do is you would start to mold the shapes that you cut out to your bowl. And I would score and slip all of these. But for demonstration, I'm not. So hopefully they'll stay together. But then I would just start to then put this together. I think it's kind of cool. It's kind of making different, like, almost looks like abstract stars. And then you'd score and slip, blend these pieces together. I will say this type of bowl is going to be take a little more time. It's going to be a little more fragile. It could break on you. And then you have to find a way to make sure that all the pieces are kind of connecting to make a bowl shape. So I would need a few more shapes, obviously. But maybe it's more abstract and not like triangles or any specific shape, but just that I have a few like holes here and there. Again, you would want to then like blow dry it for a little bit before you just pop it out of the bowl. Okay, if I were to pop this out of the bowl right now, it's not gonna keep its shape. So you have to apply the heat to kind of get it more dry. So you wanna have it all smooth first. Kind of the last step is to blow dry it. Then you stick your feet on, okay, after it's been blow dried. So that's another idea to kind of put a bunch of shapes together to make a bowl. You could also do coils. So you can have a bunch of coils around that you stick together, and then when you pop it out, maybe this side's all smooth, but when you pop it out, it would have all the coils on the inside. That'd be another kind of cool idea to do. All right, we're gonna pop this one out since it's a little more dry. So the way you do that is you basically just take the bag, pop out the bowl that you were using, mold, and then remove the bag. So you can see I have all that really cool texture still inside, okay? And it's keeping more of its shape. Now I can decide, do I want this to fan out? You know, more like this. You can see there's my fold that happened. So I kind of just blend that together so it doesn't crack on me later. And then I might be able to still take this and imprint it a little bit, so I have a little bit of that texture. I kind of like to kind of fan it out here. I think what I would do is smooth my edges with some water or slip, just so that I don't have anything sharp, okay? So just spend a little bit of time smoothing this. But basically now I can put my feet on. So I'm gonna put it back in the bag. I just wanted to show you what it looks like, okay? Just back in the bag. I'm gonna put my bowl back upside down. We're gonna put some feet on it. There's a couple ways to do your feet. And I'm gonna keep this raised up on one of these little turntables here while I do this. Some people will make it look like a turtle or make it look like a person. You don't have to. When I say feet, remember feet is not like actual feet. It's putting something on the bottom so it raises my bowl up. So a couple ways you could do that. I could basically just take the clay that I just used and make balls and have 4. I would recommend 4. If you're gonna do individual feet, always do 4. They don't have to be balls though. You could have squares, cubes. You could do, you could actually coil a foot. Okay, so I'm just showing you. I'm trying to make them all about the same size. That's the other thing, is I don't want like one itty bitty ball and all big other ones that are bigger. So trying to make them all about the same size. So you could do something like that. This 4 feet is gonna be way more stable than if I just did 3 like this. Okay, 3 might rock around. So having 4 on there is going to make it more stable. I like the idea of doing a coil. So I'm gonna take all of this, maybe a little bit more, and make a coil. How long I need here, and I kind of want it to be a thicker coil, and then I'm gonna have it go kind of like a ring around. That'll kind of raise my bowl up. So I would score and slip this all along where my ring goes. So if you need to kind of put your ring on there, and then what I like to do is just kind of trace it inside and even outside. Moved on me. Hold it still while I do that. Then I know exactly where it's going, so when I'm scoring and slipping, I know exactly where it's going to end up. Okay. Score and slip, you should know this by now. But you score 3 times, slip twice. And I am not going to do that because I'm just showing you real quick how to do this bowl. Something like so. Trying to make it a little high, more raised up instead of like really pushing it down. And then you could take your wooden knife tool to then spend some time really blending that foot into your bowl so your foot doesn't break off. But just remember, it has to have a foot and it has to have texture. I could get this done in 1 class, depending how big my bowl is and what I'm doing to it. But some of you, it might take more time depending on what you're doing to it. But after you get your foot on there, I'm just trying to show you real quick. One, you want to get your initials on the inside, probably in the middle here on the inside of your foot, not on your foot. Don't put your initials on your foot, either on the outside or on the inside. Then I could blow dry this a little longer. So I really have the shape of my bowl. But now I should be able to stand it up. Make sure when you stand it up, you have a nice clean surface to stand it on. Okay. And then the reason why you want to stand it up is because I just want to make sure it's resting evenly all the way around. But if I let it dry like this, it's probably going to shape itself to my foot, which I don't want. Okay, I'd rather it shape itself to the bowl that I was using. So honestly, how I would let this dry now that I've got it finished with my initial on it and everything, is I would keep it on this mold, or I would spend a lot of time hair drying it so I know it's nice and stiff. Mine's really, as you can see, it's really flimsy right now. So I would keep it on my shelf on the bowl like this, and I would wrap it. If I was still working on this, I'd probably wrap it up really well with another bag because I'm not quite done smoothing it and making it look all pretty. But I would wrap it up until I could spend some time on it, and then I would blow dry it really, really good. Once it's blow dried really good, it can keep its shape, and then you can just like lightly cover it to dry. So that is your last project, the molded bowl with foot. Again, it doesn't have to be, it can be a slab like this, but it could also be pieces that you cut out and then you would put little feet on it. Your feet can be triangles, they can be different shapes, but I would suggest 4 of them. And then it has to have texture. So the last step for this one maybe would be that I would draw these, you know, lines on the outside of it to add texture to it. So, all right, good luck. So I just wanted to show you, I kind of straightened up my edges so that I had kind of more straight, kind of thought it went with the design of the texture. So just kind of showing you the finished product there. And then wanted to show you another student. Okay, so she did little balls on the bottom of hers. Her texture was smooth. And that was her bowl.